I had cleaned every inch of the house 3 times over, but I still felt like something was out of place. Maybe it was just nerves. The crib was perfect, the bottles lined up on the counter like soldiers, the white noise machine already humming in the corner. I kept checking the time even though I knew it wasn't going to make the hours move faster. I hadn't slept in almost 36 hours, not because I had to, but because I couldn't. I was buzzing with anticipation, high on the idea that I was about to become something more than just a man. I was about to become a father. But when that Uber pulled into the driveway, everything started to twist. She didn't text to say she was close. That was weird. She didn't even wait for me to come outside and help her carry the baby in. That was strange too. I watched from the kitchen window as she stepped out with the car seat in one hand and her bag slung over the other shoulder like she'd just come back from a weekend retreat. Her walk wasn't slow or tired or motherly. It was flat, robotic, not like someone coming home with her first child, not like someone who just created life. I opened the door before she reached it. No smile, no eye contact. She brushed past me into the hallway and went straight to the living room, set the car seat down like she was dropping off dry cleaning, and disappeared into the bedroom without a word. My heart was beating differently now. Not faster, heavier, like something was beginning to sink. I walked over to the baby. He was asleep, peaceful. Too peaceful. I stared at him, really stared. The kind of stare you give a painting when you're trying to figure out if it's genius or insane. His nose, his eyes, his skin. I stepped back, looked again. No. There was nothing of me in that face. Not even a whisper. I didn't say anything. Not yet. Couldn't. My head was flooding, my thoughts tripping over themselves trying to make a straight line. Maybe it was just new parent paranoia. Maybe I was losing it from all the waiting and no sleep and the pressure of being a dad. I told myself to shut up. I told myself to breathe. Then I heard it. Her voice. On the phone. She wasn't whispering. She wasn't even behind a closed door. She was pacing in the hallway, talking like I didn't exist, like I was part of the furniture. I stood completely still, just outside the kitchen, listening. No, he hasn't said anything. He's not that sharp. Honestly, I don't think he'll figure it out unless someone draws him a picture. Silence. Laughter. Then, it doesn't matter. It's done. We're home. I'll deal with it later. I moved before I could stop myself. Walked straight down the hall and stood in the doorway. She turned, phone still to her ear, eyes wide for a second, then dead calm, like she'd expected me. She ended the call with one tap. I looked at her. She looked back. No panic, no apology, just that flat, infuriating stillness. What was that? I asked. What was what? She replied. The phone call. She smirked. Private. I took a breath that burned my lungs. Who's the father? A long, cold silence. Then she laughed. Actually laughed. Like I had told her a joke. You're tired, she said. You're not thinking straight. This is exactly why I didn't want you at the hospital. I felt my stomach turn. Say it. What? Just say it. She stepped closer. Lowered her voice. Say what, exactly? That you were too eager to notice the dates didn't line up? That you were too busy playing house to see what was right in front of you? My world started tilting. You knew, I whispered. She shrugged. I knew you'd figure it out eventually. I was just hoping it wouldn't be today. I looked at the baby again. Everything inside me collapsed like a building set on fire. You've been lying to me for months, I said. She crossed her arms. Please don't make this dramatic. You wanted a baby. You got a baby. I couldn't even form a response. The rage wasn't even hot, it was cold. Focused. Deadly. And that was just the beginning. I didn't sleep that night. I didn't sit. I didn't move from the corner of the hallway just outside the nursery for hours. I couldn't go in. I couldn't bring myself to even look in that crib again. That baby, innocent, unknowing, didn't ask for any of this. But every time I closed my eyes, all I saw was her face when she told me you wanted a baby. You got a baby. Like I was some kind of charity case who should be grateful for being lied to. Around 4 a.m. she walked into the kitchen like nothing had happened. Hair tied up, hoodie half-zipped, barefoot, sipping water like we didn't just shatter everything in our lives the night before. She didn't even glance in my direction. I stood there, staring at her back, and something inside me just broke. "Who is he?" I asked. My voice was lower now. Not angry. Not demanding. Just precise. Like I was peeling back the final layer of a wound. She paused mid-sip, then slowly turned. "Who?" "The baby's father." She leaned against the counter and tilted her head like I was boring her. "It doesn't matter. It matters to me." She sighed, loud and theatrical. "If you really must know, it's someone I used to know before you. It was a one-time thing. A stupid decision. And it was months before I found out I was pregnant, and by the time I did, he was long gone. Moved out of state. No way to reach him." Everything she said felt prepped. Scripted. Clean enough to shut down questions, but just messy enough to sound real. It was too smooth. I said nothing. She filled the silence herself. "It didn't mean anything. You're the one who's been here. You're the one who stepped up. Why does it even matter now?" I blinked slowly. "Because it's not just a betrayal. It's layers of betrayal. You let me hold your stomach every night. You let me talk to a baby that wasn't even mine. You stood there in that hospital bed and told me I was going to be a father. And now you expect me to stay because I already put in the work. You said you'd love me no matter what," she said coldly. "So now's your chance to prove it." I took a step closer, not threatening, just real. "Did you ever plan to tell me? Ever?" She didn't answer. That was the answer. Then something inside her shifted. She dropped the tired act. The disinterest. Her expression hardened. "You know what," she said. "Let's stop pretending. I thought you'd be smart enough to figure it out before I gave birth. I was actually disappointed you didn't. I thought maybe you'd finally grow a spine and leave, and I wouldn't have to do this whole fake life thing anymore." I felt something sharp press into my chest, her words. "And don't go playing the victim," she added. "You were easy. Too easy. You loved the idea of me so much you ignored every red flag I waved in your face. I gave you a dream and you begged for more. That's on you." She walked past me into the hallway and stopped just short of the nursery door. "You want the truth?" she said, not even turning around. "He's not a stranger. He's someone you know. Very well, actually. And the reason I never told you is because I wanted to see how long it would take before your world really cracked." Then she smiled. Smiled at the door before slipping into the nursery and closing it gently behind her. And in that moment, it wasn't even about the baby anymore. It was war. I stood in that hallway long after the door closed, her words echoing in my head like they were stitched into the walls. "Someone you know." It hit like a second betrayal before I even had time to bleed from the first. My hands clenched without thinking. My jaw locked. My vision tunneled. Every name I knew, every man I'd ever trusted, every so-called friend, every familiar face from our lives started running through my mind like suspects in a lineup I didn't volunteer for. I couldn't breathe properly. It wasn't even jealousy. It was humiliation. She didn't just cheat. She didn't just lie. She built the lie with someone close to me and then came back under my roof like it was nothing. I stormed into the kitchen and grabbed my phone. I opened photos. Looked at the baby again. I zoomed in on the tiny nose, the shape of his eyes, his cheeks. I started thinking of faces that matched. Names that had been around too often. Words that didn't seem like much at the time but suddenly sounded like red alerts. And then, like a thunderclap in my brain, Tyler. My cousin. My blood. My oldest friend. I remembered the barbecue we had 5 months into her pregnancy. She was glowing, everyone said. Tyler sat beside her more than I did. He made jokes, touched her shoulder too long, offered to get her drinks even though she wasn't drinking. I remembered watching them laugh in the kitchen while I grilled outside. Something about it stuck with me, but I never gave it oxygen. Until now. I scrolled. Looked through every picture from that day. In one, she's mid-laugh, looking sideways. Tyler's behind her, not looking at the camera, looking at her. That kind of look men think they're subtle about. The kind of look that comes from memory, not admiration. And the baby had his eyes. I felt a sickness crawl up my throat. I called him. Straight to voicemail. I called again. Same thing. Third time he answered. "Hey man," he said, casual as ever. "Where are you?" "Home." "Why?" "I need to talk to you. In person. Now." A pause. "You good?" "No. Not even close." Another pause. Then slower, "I'll come by." When he showed up, he walked in like nothing was off. Wore that same relaxed half-grin he always had. But the second he saw my face, the grin slipped. Not fear. Not guilt, just recognition. I didn't waste time. No greetings. No small talk. Is the baby yours? He froze. Just for a heartbeat. And that was all I needed. You've got to be kidding me, he said, but his voice had no weight behind it. I stepped forward. Don't lie. He looked around the room like he might find an exit that wasn't a door. And then, just like her, his expression changed. Like a mask being tossed away. He shrugged. It wasn't planned, he said. It just happened. And once it did, we didn't know what to do. You knew exactly what to do, I hissed. You hid it. She didn't want to lose you. Said you were the only one who would stick around. That you'd forgive anything eventually. The fury that ran through me was electric. She used me, I said. He shook his head. No. She chose you. She chose you, man. I wasn't supposed to mean anything. I laughed. One hard, bitter bark. You both kept a baby secret for 9 months. That's not a mistake. That's construction. That's blueprint-level betrayal. He looked down. And then I saw it. No shame. No regret. Just discomfort from being caught. That's when I knew. They didn't feel bad. They weren't sorry. They were cornered. I stepped back, breathing slow, collecting myself. Get out, I said. He opened his mouth. Get out. He walked to the door, slow, like a man trying not to trip a wire. Before leaving, he turned and said, "It's not what you think." That phrase. That pathetic phrase. It's exactly what I think, I said. And then I locked the door behind him, knowing the next conversation, the real one, had to happen with her. Because she didn't just bring a stranger's baby into my house. She brought his. And now we were going to unpack everything. The house was so quiet it almost hurt. That eerie, manufactured stillness, like the silence after a fire where everything's still smoking but the flames are gone. I stood in the middle of the living room, staring at the closed nursery door, listening for any sound, even a shift in breath. But it was too quiet. Like they were both asleep. Or like she was waiting, knowing I'd be back. I opened the door. She was sitting in the rocking chair, swaying gently, one hand on the baby's chest. She didn't look up. Didn't flinch. Just kept her eyes on him like I wasn't even there. He came here, I said. No anger. Just information. She didn't blink. I figured. You lied to me for almost a year. Now she looked up. Her expression wasn't defensive anymore. It wasn't tired or blank. It was something else entirely. Calculated. Calm. Like she'd just finished preparing her speech and was waiting for the cue. I lied because I had to, she said. If I told you, everything would have fallen apart. You would have left. You would have run. You're right, I said. Because that's what happens when someone detonates a life you didn't ask for. I did it for him, she said, nodding toward the baby. That line stopped me. It landed differently. Not because I believed it, but because of how confident she sounded saying it. Like she truly thought it was noble. You did it for you, I shot back. You just used him as the excuse. She stood up then. Still calm, but now fully facing me. Okay, she said. You want to do this now? Fine. You want every dirty little piece of it? Here. She took a breath. And then she told me. She told me it wasn't once with Tyler. It was 3 times. The first time was before she even knew she was pregnant, when she told me she was going to her mom's for a weekend because she needed space. The second was a month later when I was out of town for a work retreat. And the third, and this one was the one that hit like a steel bat, was in our house while I was at the store buying prenatal vitamins. She looked me in the eye the whole time. I didn't do it because I didn't love you, she said. I did it because I needed to feel something different. Something reckless. You made everything so safe. So predictable. I didn't say a word. Tyler, she continued, wasn't supposed to matter. And he doesn't. Not really. I just needed that chaos for a minute. And what am I then? I asked. The guy who holds the wreckage while you enjoy the explosion? She flinched slightly at that. Not because it hurt her, but because it was too accurate. You held it together, she said. You were always good at that. I stepped forward. Not threatening. Not aggressive. Just close enough so she couldn't dodge it. Here's what's going to happen, I said, voice low. You're going to stop pretending this was a misstep. This was a choice. Multiple choices. You crafted an entire life with me around a lie and hoped I'd be too stupid, too loyal to notice. She crossed her arms. Fine. Then what? You want me to beg you to stay? Or do you want to kick us out right now and pretend like you're the victim here? I smiled, but it wasn't joy. It was clarity. I want the truth on paper. I want you to admit it in writing that this child isn't mine. That you knew. That you lied. And I want full separation. You don't get to use my name to keep this illusion alive. Her jaw tightened. You'd ruin him just to punish me? No. You ruined it the moment you made him part of your cover-up. She walked past me, grabbed her phone, and without saying anything else, she started typing. Not arguing. Not resisting. Just typing. Like she knew the clock had run out. I left the room and sat in the hallway again. Same spot. Only this time I wasn't frozen. I was building something else. Something final. Because this wasn't just a betrayal. This was a calculated act of erasure. And now I was writing myself out of her story before she could erase me entirely. I couldn't sit still. Even after she gave me the written admission, signed, time-stamped, and cold, I couldn't stop pacing. The walls of that house felt like they were leaning in on me, listening, judging. Everything around me was soaked in false memory. The nursery we painted together, the couch where we picked baby names, the damn coffee mug she bought that said "World's Best Dad" while she was already carrying another man's child. But now it wasn't just betrayal. It was what started to unravel after. I didn't tell her this, but I had quietly copied that signed message she wrote and sent it to a secure folder. Then I forwarded it to my lawyer. Yes, I had called one the moment Tyler walked out the door. I wasn't playing defense anymore. I was done being stunned. The lawyer called me back that afternoon. His tone was sharp, curious. He asked one question that threw me off completely. Have you checked the baby's birth certificate? I paused. No. Why? You might want to. The call ended, and something in me just lit up. I opened my laptop, logged in to the state health records portal, input what I knew. I had to verify a few details with a call to the hospital's admin line. The woman on the phone was polite, robotic. She said, "Let me pull that up." A few seconds passed. Her tone changed. "You said your name was listed on the birth certificate?" She asked. "Yeah, I was told I'm the father." Another pause. Then, "Sir, I'm afraid your name isn't here." I felt the bottom fall out of the floor. "Then who's listed?" "I'm sorry. I can't disclose that information unless—" I hung up before she finished. I didn't need her to say it. She never put me down as the father. That wasn't just betrayal, that was premeditation. That was her covering herself in case the truth came out. That was her writing me out of the baby's life before he was even born. I stormed back into the house. She was in the living room now, scrolling on her phone, acting like we were in some awkward roommate phase. "You never put my name on the birth certificate," I said. She didn't flinch. "It wasn't safe to." "Safe?" She looked up. "Legally, if I put your name down and you found out later, it could have been worse for me." "My lawyer said you had a lawyer." I almost choked on the words. She raised an eyebrow. "You think I did all this without planning? Come on." There it was again. That arrogance. That condescending smirk that said, "I'm smarter than you." "I always have been." I stepped closer. "So you knew I'd find out?" She tilted her head. "Eventually, yeah. I didn't expect you to take this long. You wanted me to love that kid. Raise him. Get attached. And then when it all came out, you'd already have your out." "It was efficient," she said, like she was describing a business deal. And then, as if that wasn't enough, she added one more twist. "The worst one yet. There's something else you should know." I didn't want to hear it. I swear I didn't. But she said it anyway. "Tyler knew from the start I wasn't putting your name down. He asked me to leave it blank. Said he'd decide later if he wanted to claim paternity depending on how things went with you." She smiled, slow, poisonous. "You were plan A. He was just holding position." I can't describe what happened to me in that moment. My body didn't shake. My voice didn't raise. I just froze. Not from fear. Not from confusion. From clarity. This was never about a mistake. It was an experiment. I had been tested, observed, measured. And now that the data was in, they were ready to pivot. I turned to the door. "Where are you going?" she called out. "To make sure you never get to decide anything about my life again," I said. Because now it wasn't just about the truth. It was about taking everything back. I drove without music. Without direction. Without even checking the rearview mirror. My phone buzzed twice. Probably her. and I let it burn a hole in my pocket. I wasn't ready for anyone's voice. Not hers. Not Tyler's. Not even the lawyer's. I needed the silence. The pressure. The hard truth of what this all really was. She didn't just betray me. She designed my role in her life like a contract. Temporary, replaceable, useful until otherwise notified. I was never her partner. I was her placeholder. A reliable stand-in while she waited to see if Tyler, my own damn cousin, would step up or stay lurking in the shadows. He stayed in the shadows. She just made sure I never looked into them. But now I wasn't just looking. I was digging. I drove to my parents' place, parked 2 houses down and just watched. Familiar driveway, familiar porch light, and parked right there, next to their trash bins, Tyler's car. So casual, so comfortable, like he had nothing to be afraid of. Of course he didn't. He thought he got away with it. He thought I'd walk away quietly, maybe sulk in a corner, start over somewhere else, leave them to build their beautiful little lie in peace. Not this time. I didn't go in. I didn't storm the door or start a scene. I just needed to see it with my own eyes that the world hadn't punished him, that no one was holding him accountable, that the people who should have been outraged for me were letting him sit on their damn couch. That was my final switch. I drove home and started gathering everything. Every screenshot. Every message. Every blurry baby photo that showed a face that looked nothing like mine. Her signed admission. My lawyer's memo. The hospital call log. I wasn't angry anymore, I was focused. Clinical. I built a timeline. A story. A documented, airtight structure of deception. And then I made one more call. Not to her. Not to him. To his girlfriend. Yes, Tyler wasn't single. And I had her number. We'd met twice, awkwardly, during family events. I always thought she was quiet, timid. But now I realized she was just watching. Probably trying to figure out if she belonged. She answered on the 3rd ring. Hey, it's Jake, I said. A pause. Oh, hi. Is everything okay? No, I said. But I think you should hear something. Something about Tyler. And my wife. I didn't ease her into it. I told her everything. From the first lie to the baby to the birth certificate. I told her how long it had gone on. Where, when, how. I told her about the smug smile he wore when he finally admitted it. I told her about our house. About my store run. And she didn't cry. She laughed. One sharp, hollow laugh. Like a fuse had just been lit inside her. I knew it, she said. You knew. I didn't know who. But I knew something. I saw messages he deleted. Names he saved under fake contacts. I asked him last month if anything ever happened between him and your wife. And he said I was insane. He said that to me too, I said. And then she said something I'll never forget. Well, let's make him insane. That was the start of something new. Something surgical. Because you see, when someone builds a lie that elaborate, they think they're untouchable. But they forget one thing. When you set a fire that big, someone always comes back to watch it burn. The next 72 hours were chaos, but not the kind anyone else could see. Not yet. It was the quiet kind, the kind that simmers just under the surface, where plans are whispered and revenge isn't about shouting, it's about precision. I stayed out of the house as much as possible. She barely noticed. Or maybe she thought I was spiraling somewhere alone. Good. Let her think I was broken. Let her believe I'd accepted my role as collateral damage. Meanwhile, I was building the fuse line. Tyler's girlfriend, Marissa, turned out to be more than just angry. She was strategic. She'd been collecting her own trail of Tyler's deception long before I called. Photos of him at places he said he'd never been, receipts from hotels, a copy of a message he forgot to delete that simply read, "He still doesn't know." This is hilarious. That was sent 2 months before the baby was born. We started comparing timelines. We built a master calendar of betrayal, color-coded and backed with receipts. Marissa sent me screenshots of Tyler complaining about me to my wife. Full-blown character assassination from the inside. The two of them bonding over how naive I was. How easy it had been. They called me Plan B in one message thread. Plan B. There were no accidents in this story. No lapses in judgment. This was architecture. And now we were going to demolish it. Step 1 was simple exposure. But not through drama. Not through some messy online tantrum. We picked his weak spot, his job. Tyler worked in a real estate agency where character and family image were part of the brand. His boss? Old school, traditional, small-town loyalist who ran the firm like a fraternity mixed with a church group. Marissa scheduled a meeting, brought documents, emails, pictures, a full dossier. He was suspended by the end of the day. Step 2, family. Tyler's parents, my aunt and uncle, were the type who took reputation more seriously than blood. So when Marissa forwarded them a package, anonymously at first, showing their golden boy sleeping with his cousin's wife and fathering a child behind everyone's back, they imploded. I didn't hear from them, but I didn't have to. Tyler called me that night. I didn't answer. He left a voicemail, voice shaking. "What the hell are you doing, man? You're ruining everything." Everything. Like it wasn't already ruined when he stepped into my house and used my life as a vacation home while I paid the mortgage. Step 3 was mine. I came home late that night. She was sitting on the couch, watching TV like the house wasn't cracking at the seams. When she looked at me, she knew. Not because I said anything. Because she could feel it. The shift. The air had changed. "What did you do?" she asked. I dropped a folder on the table in front of her. Pages slid out. Screenshots. The hospital record. Her confession. Tyler's messages. Photos. The call log. The evidence. Everything. "This," I said calmly, "this is the story you tried to bury." She flipped through it fast at first. Then slower. Then her face tightened. "You think this makes you smart?" she hissed. "You think you're winning something?" "No," I said. "I'm just cleaning the rot out of my life. You don't know what you've started." "Oh, I know exactly. And it ends with you out of this house, legally, completely, and with nothing you can hold over me. You'd hurt the baby just to get back at me?" I didn't respond to that. I didn't need to. We both knew who had hurt the baby. Who had used him like a pawn. Who had built a lie on his tiny, unknowing existence. She stood up. But I didn't back up. This time she did. Because the truth wasn't just out. It was moving now. And it wasn't stopping for anyone. It didn't take long for the fallout to hit the public square. Once word spread to the family, the extended kind, the kind that lives in group chats and thrives on whispers, the dominoes started falling like they were soaked in gasoline. Nobody called to check on me. They called to confirm the rumors. They wanted the scoop. The tea. Because of course they did. This wasn't just infidelity. This was scandal. Bloodline betrayal. And people couldn't get enough. By the end of the week, I wasn't Jake, the husband. I was Jake. The guy whose cousin knocked up his wife and watched him raise the baby for months like a clueless sitcom character. And here's where it got worse for them. Someone from Tyler's office leaked the story. It started as a whisper, then a blog post, then a community alert thread. Apparently, his firm was mid-deal with a local church organization looking to buy land for a family center. They backed out once the story spread. His boss dropped a passive-aggressive memo about morality matters and image reflects trust. 2 more deals fell apart. Tyler was fired within the week. As for her, she tried to flip the script, told her friends I lost it, that I was jealous, controlling, that I couldn't handle the pressure of being a new dad. The kind of story that paints her as the victim of a fragile man cracking under expectations. But then came Marissa. God bless Marissa. She didn't just keep receipts, she published them. Created a private account, invited every mutual friend, every nosy aunt, every fence-sitter, and posted a full breakdown. Screenshots, timelines, photos. A story so thorough it read like investigative journalism. By the time she was done, no one was asking questions. They knew. And they chose sides. She lost half her friends overnight. Her own sister blocked her. Tyler went dark. No calls, no messages. I'm guessing they were imploding from the inside now. But I wasn't done yet. The final nail? I filed for divorce. Fast. Clean. My lawyer moved quick with the confession, with the hospital records, with the digital footprint. It was almost too easy. She tried to contest. Claimed I had abandoned her and the baby. That's when I pulled out the real trump card, the recorded phone call. I'd hit record the night she admitted everything, every word, every smirk, every twisted justification. My lawyer played it at the hearing. You could have heard a pin drop. The judge leaned back in his chair and stared at her for a full 10 seconds before speaking. You're lucky he's not suing for emotional damages. That was the moment she broke. Not when she was caught. Not when Tyler was fired. Not when the friends vanished or the baby name group chat fell silent. But when she realized the court wasn't going to protect her story. She started crying, real ugly crying. Like the truth finally started to weigh something. Like it had mass now. Like it wasn't just an inconvenience. It was a sentence. After the hearing, she tried to follow me outside. I never meant for it to go this far, she whispered. I turned to her, dead calm. It didn't go too far. You took it there, step by step, lie by lie, and now you're right where you built yourself to be. She didn't respond. She just stood there, no plan left, no backup script. Just silence. And for the first time since this started, I felt free. Freedom was a strange thing. I thought it would feel like wind in my lungs or sunlight on my back. But really, it was just quiet. Not silence, but quiet. The kind that settles in when no one is lying to you. When no one's pretending. When your phone buzzes and you don't flinch wondering what new truth is waiting to shatter your reality. That kind of quiet is a gift people don't even realize they have. Until it's taken. I moved out of the house that week. I didn't want the crib. I didn't want the couch. I didn't want the walls that heard the lies. I left with 3 bags and a signed decree in my pocket that gave me full freedom. No child support, no name on the birth certificate, no legal ties. Clean break. But she wasn't done. You'd think, after everything, she'd disappear quietly. Maybe reflect. Apologize. Try to build a real life with Tyler and the child they created out of betrayal. But no, she spiraled. Not because she wanted me back, but because she couldn't control the narrative anymore. First, it was a series of vague social media posts. Some people wear masks so well, they forget who they are underneath. Or, not all abusers leave bruises. Trying to paint herself as the tragic survivor. The brave woman rebuilding after being abandoned. Her captions were practically begging someone to ask what happened. Most didn't. Those who did, Marissa shut them down, link by link. Post by post. My silence helped her. I never retaliated publicly. Never fed the fire. That drove my ex insane. She wanted a reaction. She wanted chaos. But all I gave her was distance. Then she tried something else. She sent a letter. Not a text. Not an email. A physical letter typed, sealed, and mailed to my new address, which she should not have had access to. Inside was a single page. I've been thinking. Maybe you and I could talk. Really talk. Not about the past. About the future. About what it could have been and maybe still could be. People make mistakes, but we loved each other once. That has to mean something. Let me know if there's a part of you that wants to try again. Even just to talk. For closure. Closure. From the woman who took my loyalty and repackaged it as leverage. I didn't respond. But it wasn't the letter that got to me, it was what came next. 2 days later, I got another message. From Tyler. Hey. I don't know what she's telling people, but just so you know, she's saying the baby might not be mine either. That sentence hit like a ghost punch. I reread it 3 times. She wasn't trying to get me back. She was trying to fracture what was left around her. Trying to turn Tyler against me. Against the baby. Against her own lie. The same lie she fought to protect was now her new weapon. I didn't answer him. But I called Marissa. She picked up fast. She's unraveling, I said. I know, she replied. She called me yesterday. Said you and I were conspiring against her. I paused. Are we? She laughed. Not yet. And that was the moment I realized this story might have ended for me legally, but emotionally? Socially? She was still playing chess. Still moving pieces. Still trying to rewrite the ending. But I was no longer on the board. She could scream across the table all she wanted. I was already walking away. It's strange how finality rarely comes in a loud, cinematic moment. No thunderclap. No applause. Just a slow, steady stillness that wraps around your ribs and whispers. You made it out. A few months passed. I moved into a small place just outside the city. Nothing fancy, just mine. No echoes of betrayal in the walls. No haunted crib in the corner. I bought a new bed, new dishes, didn't even take the damn silverware. That was hers. Let her keep the forks that fed the lie. Marissa and I still talk occasionally. There's no romance there, just mutual understanding. Two people who crawled out of the same wreckage and learned how to walk again. She moved out too, left Tyler before he could hit rock bottom and drag her with him. I heard from a mutual friend that he's finding himself in Colorado. Translation: broke, unemployed, and sleeping on couches that haven't yet heard the full story. And her? She's quiet now. Too quiet. She posted a photo last week. Just the baby and a caption. Just us. As it was always meant to be. Comments were turned off. No likes visible. No tags. No trace of the life she burned to keep. I stared at that picture longer than I'd admit. Not because I miss her, not even because I miss what I thought we had. But because of him. That baby. That little face wrapped in confusion and innocence and unknowingly born into a house full of false promises. He deserved more. Not from me. Not from her. Just more. And then I closed the app. I went for a walk. Not dramatic. Not moody. Just real. The air tasted different now. I saw people with strollers and didn't flinch. I heard a kid crying in a store and didn't feel the twist in my chest. The world kept moving and so did I. I learned something through all of this. Loyalty isn't love. Patience isn't virtue when it's weaponized. And love, Grail love, never comes with an agenda. It doesn't lie. It doesn't manipulate. It doesn't look you in the eye while planting landmines under your feet. She was never confused. She was just committed to the lie. And I was just committed to her until I wasn't. So if you're reading this, if your gut's been screaming while your brain makes excuses, listen to it. Check the dates. Check the eyes. Ask the questions. Tear open the illusion if it's the only way to breathe again. Because nothing hurts more than loving someone who is only ever acting. And nothing heals faster than walking away from a fire that was never your fault to begin with. That's my story. It ended finally in quiet. Not with justice. Not with vengeance. Just peace. And that was enough.